All right, well then let's get ready to go. I'm gonna pull up the stream. Welcome everyone. Let's just have a warm up time as people are coming in, getting their days started. Really excited to get going with our kickoff stream for IndieCade. Y'all know we have a packed day for you. We've got a packed event, and so we're going to start with a show and tell. For folks who haven't met me before, my name is Kim Chica, also Jenny Wyndham, and I am an indie game developer. I also work with content creators and create content myself, focused on indie games, and I'm really excited to be able to show and tell and show off so many, I think 15 games today during this broadcast. We're going to be going in, talking to each of the devs, exploring what they've created, why they've created it, and hopefully getting you excited about a lot of games. If you have not seen IndieCade before, please do go check out their channels. You can just go to IndieCade.com to see all of the scheduling that's going on right now. There are conference sessions available, night games on November 10th and 11th, and a whole bevy of festival awards to be given out and celebrated. So if you have not checked it out, again, go to IndieCade.com, and that is the place that you can go to just celebrate all things indie. Really quick, what is IndieCade? It's organized by an expansive team of individuals who truly believe that we can make an impact on the industry and specifically through indie games. And so the whole goal is internationally to showcase what folks are creating and what people are capable of. It's really exciting. Just to give you a heads up about today's stream, we will go until noon, after which there will be some developer sessions, and we'll be back at 3:30 p.m. Pacific to be able to celebrate two games specifically, dive in a little bit deeper, watch some gameplay, and of course, chat with the devs. So I hope you all are ready. I hope you're all having a great time. And we're going to be getting ready in just a second to greet our first developer. Now, before we do so, I'd love to invite you, as you're watching this broadcast, if you have a look at the chat and you have any questions, please feel free. I'll try to do my best to keep an eye on the chat, but there are developers, I think, who will be looking at the chat as well. And so if you have questions, we're going to do our best to get to them. This is going to be hopefully as interactive with you as possible, and just a real good time. So I think with that, let's first watch the trailer for the beginning kickoff title for the event. This is the trailer for Slay the Princess.
But she's a princess. We're supposed to save her. You're supposed to slay her, or she'll go on to destroy everything. Do you not understand what everything means?
You poor thing. We both know this isn't you.
See? She's not a monster. She pries the blade from your infuriatingly rigid hands.
I'll try to make it quick.
What is she? She plunges it into your chest, tearing through flesh and sinew, but failing to hit anything vital.
Oh no! I'll try again. I'm sorry.
You collapse to the floor, blood pooling in the cavity she carved into your torso. She leans over you, tears leaving pink streaks down her cheeks.
I wish it didn't have to end like this.
But it's too late to think of how things could have gone differently. Everything goes dark, and you die.
I see you have returned to me. Days mean nothing in the maw of forever. I never left your side.
Oh, there we go. Oh my goodness. That is incredible. I am a huge fan of Slay the Princess. So let's bring on our first guest of the show. We have, I believe, Tony from Okay, so there we go. I think we've got me. Now let me make sure we've got you coming through. Yay! All right, it looks like perhaps we are back. Folks in the chat, thank you so much. Let me know if you can also hear Tony. As I mentioned, this is an interactive show, and this is part of that beautiful interaction that we get. Wonderful. Okay, it looks like they can hear you. Great. How are you doing today? Oh my goodness. All right, let's see. Um, let's do, it's not a real stream until you've had at least one fun, technical, exciting moment. Let's do, let's see if this perhaps captures you. If you could say hello to everyone real quickly.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
The show and tell pioneer, exactly. Yay! Okay, perfect. They can hear you. Awesome.
Cool. Excellent. Wonderful.
All right, so we were just talking about how you've had a wild week releasing a game, getting trailers in at the last second, and being so stoked to just celebrate Slay the Princess. How are you feeling other than tired?
Super good. People like the game, which is great. You never know when you're putting something out in the world if people are going to like it or not.
Mhm.
So the feedback has been very, very warm, and we're very happy about it.
Yeah. Were you, because you have a really strong community already through Scarlet Hollow and some of the other work that you've done, I guess, were you expecting the widespread reception? Because I feel like this is
No.
maybe the first breakout kind of title that you've had.
Yeah, this is definitely quite a bit bigger than we thought it would be. We were going into release pretty confident about our numbers. Like we had 100,000 wish lists, and Scarlet Hollow released with 4,000. So we figured it would go pretty well, but it really blew up.
What do you think folks are most hooked on when they're playing the game?
Whew, that's tough. I mean, I think the real quick standout stuff is the quality of the voice acting. Both Johnny and Nicole have done a fantastic job, and Johnny has definitely made it easier to get people hyped about the game because there's something like 50 million Magnus Archives fans out in the world. So anytime we would like post something to TikTok, every single comment would be like, "Oh my God, it's the Archivist," which is neat. Uh, had such a great time working with him. Both he and Nicole are amazing. And then I think a lot of it is also just something that we focused on as a studio for a while, which is really, really, really leaning into player choice so that no two playthroughs of the same game ever feel quite the same. Which means that we don't suffer from some of the challenges a lot of other narrative games suffer from, where if a streamer covers it, it's just as likely to mean that people won't buy the game because they've already watched it.
Mm,
Whereas for us, I think a lot of times when a streamer plays it, it just gets people thinking about what's going to happen if they pick different options. Or this streamer didn't pick what I wanted to pick, so I want to see that on my own. So those have always converted well for us, and then it just becomes something where you can also like with your friends compare and contrast. Like, what did you get? What did I get? We did a fun thing with Slay the Princess where once you roll credits, we make a playlist for you based off of the choices you've made throughout the game and the scenarios you've seen. So that's an easy way for people to, in a single screenshot, be like, "Oh, were our experiences the same? Were they different? How were they different?"
That's incredible. And what a fun way to get people talking about your game too, even after they've rolled credits. You know, it's not just a you finish it, you sit, it's like becomes this community event where you're sharing and really like dissecting it together. Do you have a favorite? This may tread into spoiler territory, but do you have a favorite version of the princess that you've created?
Tough. I like the Razor a lot. She turned out very goofy and fun in the full game, and she was the last route that I wrote. So a lot of that writing was like the finish line is just ahead of us, and also there's the text of the rest of the game to call back on for all sorts of little jokes and interactions from other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also very happy with how the stranger turned out, which is great because she went through like three total reworks and rewrites since the original demo.
Yeah. I can say I encountered the stranger yesterday when I was playing, and I very much enjoyed the stranger.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Well, this is a super, again, show and tell are these speed rounds. Really quickly, where can folks find you, the studio, and the game right now if they are wanting to delve into this journey?
Yeah, if you go to blacktabbygames.com, there should be a link to a giant list of other links for places you can find us. Both Slay the Princess and Scarlet Hollow are available on Steam and GOG, and you can probably find us on most social media sites. One of these days, I would love to stop posting to Twitter, but that seems to be where most of our audience still is. So we're there. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Tumblr. There's subreddits for both of our games, and we have a lively Discord community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking a bit of your morning, a bit of your day to come chat with us. And congratulations again on the launch, Tony.
All right, yeah, thanks so much, and enjoy talking to all of these other amazing devs.
Yeah, thank you.
But she's a princess. We're supposed to
Awesome.
save her.
Oop. So we are moving on, going through show and tell again. If you're just joining the broadcast, we are going to be interviewing and talking with 15 developers today. Excited to see what more we have in store. The next one is a very different sort of game. I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the trailer for A Number from the Ghost. All right, everyone. I'm super excited to introduce to you Peter Adams. Peter Adams is joining us via Discord. Let me unmute him. All right. Hi, Peter. Can you hear us? Hello.
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Awesome. You are coming in clear for us. Could you describe really quickly A Number from the Ghost? Because this is a game unlike really any I've experienced.
Yeah, so this started pretty modestly. I am a musician and I'm always looking for a way to get people to actually, stop and listen to new music. So I had a vague idea like, what if I made some kind of like interactive experience, video game kind of thing that could incorporate my songs in some way? And so that began a very long, grueling development process. This is actually my first video game, so I had to learn a lot. And it built into what eventually I kind of describe as interactive music videos, where the gameplay is very simple. You can walk around, you can look around, but you're basically there to explore and kind of experience music that informs the world that you're in.
Yeah, I played one of the videos yesterday and was just astounded. How do you figure out, like, how do you imagine the timing and how do you curate these kind of experiences when you don't know exactly what a player is going to do as they're walking around the environment?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's kind of the biggest challenge because I want to let people feel like they have freedom to explore, but also kind of nudge them towards certain moments where I want them to maybe like be in a certain place where some part of the song happens. So, I use a multitude of different methods. Sometimes things just sync up to the beat. That's a very obvious way to do it. Like things are moving in sync with the beat. Sometimes I kind of like time, like, okay, if somebody's walking in this direction, which is like an obvious place to go, and then they get here at this moment, that'll look really cool.
Hmm.
And then the real kind of hard coded version is, at a certain point in the song, I'll just literally have something happen in the scene that moves the player to a certain point.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm wondering because as I was playing, I also thought of synesthesia and this idea of creating visual representations of music. And I'm curious if you started with the music first and then were inspired to create specific visuals, or if you had visuals in mind and then worked the other way around.
Yeah, so I started with the music, but interestingly, I mean, it's good that you brought that up. People describe sometimes seeing colors when they listen
Hmm.
to music, but for me, it's always been very like architectural and like spatial. So even before doing this game, as I would compose and write music, I would kind of see physical spaces. So it wasn't that big of a stretch to then, learn the skills about how to actually make, a 3D model that could represent close to what I was envisioning when I wrote the song. So I'm not really, it's not like I'm writing the music for a specific space, but as I write the music, the space kind of just evolves in my head.
Yeah, I'm also really curious. What do you hope players get, or do you have specific things you want players to get out of playing your game?
Yeah, really, it create. I started it because I'm not performing really much anymore, but I
Mm,
wanted a way for people to still connect with my music versus just streaming it on Spotify or watching a video and kind of forgetting about it. So the idea is this gives you kind of like an experience you're having while you listen to the music, and I feel like that always is a way to get a good connection. Like we can often remember where we were when we first heard a song that we really liked, so this is kind of a way to make like a virtual experience for people to have while hearing the songs.
yeah. Do you have a specific, maybe like musical genre or maybe other art form that you're hoping to explore in games in the future?
I haven't gotten that far yet. I mean, this has just been so much work and I have enjoyed it and I plan on continuing to add to it and we'll just
Right.
kind of like see where it goes or if it takes, a different style or if I keep the same format going or what.
Yeah. And where can folks find this if they would like to try and experience this themselves?
Yeah, so this is free to play. It runs on any web browser. Just go to fromtheghost.com. It should be able to run from your cell phone up to a desktop. I try to make it as accessible as possible for people and also to make it easy enough to play for people who aren't necessarily gamers.
Right. I love that. And also, I did not know you could play it on your cell phone, and so now that's going to be before I go to bed. enjoy
Yeah,
enjoy one of the tracks. That's really cool.
cool.
Thank you so much for joining us. Again, these are whirlwind interviews. I hope you have a great time with IndieCade and appreciate you taking the time to share a bit more about your game with us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right. So, we have got another title. This one's another musically inclined one. I really, really am very excited for you to see more of Secret Shuffle. Yes, you're here. Welcome back, everyone. So, you just saw a little bit of Secret Shuffle. We are going to be talking right now with one of the developers, I believe Adrian. Let me bring you up. How are you doing today, Adrian?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Secret Shuffle is so I used to be a dancer, and Secret Shuffle has unlocked something that I didn't even know I needed, that I wanted. And so, could you describe what Secret Shuffle is, for folks who just saw the trailer?
Well, it's a headphone party game. So everyone's wearing headphones, everyone's listening to music. And with this setup, we came up with a bunch of games, but everyone's favorite is always Fakers. Everyone hears the same music except for one person who doesn't hear any music at all, but is pretending to hear music, and everyone else needs to guess who that person is. And then we have other games like Pairs, where two people listen to the same music and you have to find each other, and various other really funky stuff. It's really a game for having social interactions with friends. Like that's not the way that we designed it. And yeah, it is very fun with friends. It's very much a party game. It's still very different from what most people would consider a party game in the sense that most people think of Jackbox or like maybe a
Yeah.
board game or a board game experience or so. But it's very much like a more of a dancing, quirky, slightly awkward sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm good at dancing, but I'm doing this anyway kind of game.
Yeah, well, and
Um,
I love that because you don't have to be, there are other dancing games on the market, like a Just Dance, for example, where I think there's a level of proficiency that feels like you need to have to do. And Secret Shuffle doesn't have that sense of pressure, I think, for folks who aren't dancers.
Correct. Yeah, we didn't want to design a game where people have to be good dancers. We wanted to design a game where a group of friends can have fun, and the dancing is just like a sort of mechanism for that. But it's really about all those interactions, looking at each other, figuring out whether you're in sync or not, maybe thinking that you're in sync and then halfway through the round discovering that you're not and having a good laugh about it. Like that's really what this game is about, and not necessarily the, oh, I'm going to be doing some crazy moves or so. So yeah.
Why was it important to create a game that focuses on this social aspect rather than maybe a sit down single player type experience?
I mean, why create anything? Like you could ask that question any artist, I guess. I think for a long time, ever since I made games, I've always tried to make deeply social experiences and really looking for ways to maybe like sort of like tickle people's relationships, maybe make a bit of a difference in that. Of course,
Right.
games have this magic circle and you step in and you can step out again, but I really wanted to sort of like, it sounds very crazy to say, but I want to leave a permanent mark on people's relationships in a good way, obviously. And I think games are a great way to get people to become a little bit more loose, and in that sense, become a good way to connect even better with your friends. So I feel strongly about that, and I've made various games in that scenario. But I think Secret Shuffle is sort of like the cherry on top.
I think it's wonderful. And as a lot of folks who know me know that I'm typically not one to play multiplayer games. I'm very selective in that type of experience. And I will say Secret Shuffle is one that I am very excited to bring to parties in the future and to enjoy with my friends. Where can folks pick it up? Where can they download it, find it, so that they can also enjoy a little bit of dance?
Right. So everyone is going to need the mobile app, which is on iOS and Android. So if you go to the App Store or Google Play, you can search for Secret Shuffle there. You can download it there. And we just, I think 2 days ago, released also sort of a Steam version. You don't have to be dancing with your computer. Don't worry about that. But the Steam version is like a sort of big. We call it the big screen, so you can put it up on a projector or whatever, and you can have everyone download the app, but the projector will give you a bit of an overview of the game, more like a Jackbox vibe. So that's where
Yeah.
you can get it on Steam, App Store, and Google Play.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing about Secret Shuffle. Thank you for making Secret Shuffle. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you. Have a good day to you
Awesome.
too.
Bye. All right. So Secret Shuffle, pick it up. It's amazing. Now, if you're wanting something a little bit more contemplative, a little bit more reflective, I do love a good single player experience. This next title is for you.
I know you miss her too, don't you, Chess? Okay, we should keep going.
That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to talk with Kyle, who is here with us today. Kyle, how are you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks. How are you?
I am doing great. Let me bump up your volume just a little bit. Um, Golly, this is such a beautiful game, and I'd love to hear in your own words, like, what is the story that Farewell North is telling?
Yeah, sure. So, Farewell North's an emotional adventure through the Scottish Highlands, where you play as a border collie, and you're on a journey to restore color to your human's world. So, the game definitely leans on the casual side. It's like an emphasis on narrative and mood rather than difficult gameplay. But along the way, you explore, you solve like puzzles, you shepherd animals, and yeah, uncover a unique story about saying farewell.
Yeah, I'm curious because I feel like you don't get a lot of games set in Scotland, for example, in the Scottish Isles. Why was it important for you to set it in this particular location?
Yeah, so I mean, you can probably tell from my accent that I'm not originally from Scotland, but I am a dual citizen. So I lived the first 30 or so years of my life in Canada, and in 2020, my wife and I decided to just make the move, and so we sold everything we owned. We moved across the Atlantic with our two dogs and two backpacks, and then about a week later, the pandemic hit and put everything into lockdown. So Farewell North is really a way to kind of explore this new country without being able to physically explore it. I was still able to research and find all kinds of inspiration to explore Scotland in this way. And so now that the pandemic's come and gone, I've been able to actually go to some of the places that the game's based in and kind of like see if I did it justice and stuff like that. So yeah, it was kind of just a personal kind of way to explore the country.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really nice, like, I love that story. I'm curious what made you choose, and it could be just because dogs are cool. What made you choose to have players play as the dog instead of a human in this game?
Yeah, so the idea was I really wanted to explore the way that pets can have an impact on our mental health and our well-being. And I thought, it's a bit of a roller coaster, right? Normally, you'd play as a human, and you'd have a supporting companion, or like a pet, or something like that. I wanted you to play as the supporting character, so your kind of objective, if you want to call it that, is to bring color back to her world. So you're trying to find ways to basically help her through a really difficult time, and you're kind of playing the supporting role in someone else's story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and I love when games play with that role because I think we're often put into this like main character hero role, and it's really nice to see this exploration of what does it mean to be in a game in that way. I'm curious, what is your favorite place, I guess, or is there an element that you captured that you feel best reflects what you experienced when you finally got to see it in real life and explore in real life?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think anyone's asked me that before, but there's this place in Scotland called John O'Groats, and it's like the very north tip of Scotland, right before you'd be out into the ocean, um, and uh, and the game kind of starts in this. It's very inspired by this place, John O'Groats, and at the start of the game, you kind of drive up to the tip of Scotland, you set out in your boat or your canoe, and you head off. And John O'Groats was really based off of just tons of incredible reference photos that I had until we were able to actually go visit. And when we did finally go visit, um, I think one thing that I missed was just the sense of scale. Like it was so much more
Mm,
grand than I had portrayed it in the game. Normally, you don't think of um, these kind of sea cliffs around the kind of country as being quite as large as they actually are.
mhm.
And so when we went there, it was like mind blowing how grand they were. So yeah, but I think the sense of it, the spirit of the place was definitely captured, and it was great to be able to take that back and go and kind of refine what had been put into the game.
Yeah, I love that. And so for anyone who wants to at least get that sort of spirit of Scotland and experience the game, where can they pick it up?
Yeah, so it's not out yet, but you can play the demo on Steam,
Hmm.
and while you're there, you're of course welcome to wishlist it. But yeah, there's a demo there. Go check it out, and you can actually get an exclusive Discord role for completing the demo. Um, yeah,
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you joining us, hanging out. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
awesome. Thank you too.
Bye. Awesome. So we have gone from abstract music videos to basements and dungeons with princesses to the Isles of Scotland. In this next game, we're going to be creating our very own ecosystem. Check out the trailer for Ecosystem.
The diversity of life on Earth is staggering. We share the planet with tens of millions of creatures, all with different sizes, shapes, and ways of life. Ecosystem translates organic life in all its detail into a digital medium. It's a world of real animals living in software. Instead of playing a pre-made animation, creatures swim bound by the laws of physics. They apply torque at their joints to push against the water and propel themselves forward. They coordinate this movement using simulated brains. Data from their eyes and other senses flows down through a network of neurons that reaches into every limb in their body. They pursue their own goals, driven by their instincts, in a shared environment where they swim, graze, have children, and prey on each other. And as in our world, the infinite.
So we have Tom here from Ecosystem, and what we're going to be doing is having Tom talk to us about the game and just development. So, Tom, welcome to the stream. How are you doing
Hi.
today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Let me get this video up because I'd love for you to talk through what folks are looking at, what they see, and just how ecosystem works. So here,
Yeah.
it's up right now.
Okay.
We share the
I
planet
don't know
with
if I
tens of
see it
millions of
yet.
creatures,
It
Let me
may
just.
be it'll be on the stream, so there'll be a slight
Ah.
slight delay on it,
Ecosystem
unfortunately.
translates
Okay.
organic
All right. No
life in
problem.
all its detail into a digital medium. It's a world
Okay.
of real animals
So in the
living in
game, the sort of core
software.
idea is that you grow
Instead
an
of playing a
ecosystem
pre-made
with a
animation,
simulation
creatures
of
swim
evolution,
bound by the
creating the
laws
life
of
forms
physics.
that
They
inhabit it.
apply torque at their
Um,
joints
and
to
so
push
there's
against the
at first
water and
there's a
propel
whole
themselves
plant
forward.
simulation
They
with 50 different
coordinate this
types of
movement
plants.
using
And
simulated
the way that
brains.
works is that every
Data from
every
their
individual
eyes and
plant has
other
its own
senses
preferences for like
flows
what
down
kind of
through a
soil it
network of
likes or
neurons that
how much
reaches
competition it
into
can
every
tolerate,
limb
that
in
kind
their
of thing.
body.
And each plant is like a little replicator. So it shoots out little seeds that will create clones of itself, and then those shoot out seeds of their own in turn, and so on and so on. And those sort of create the base for the creatures, which are sort of the heart of the game. Those were inspired by some research done by a guy named Carl Sims at MIT in the 90s. And so the idea is that every creature is built from a kind of like virtual DNA that encodes everything about them. So they have like bodies and brains and, skin and stuff like that. So like their bodies are just a bunch of limbs stuck together in different ways. And the DNA specifies like the size and position and orientation and stuff like that. And the thing that I think is sort of most unique about it is that the swimming is physically simulated. So like the creatures don't play pre-made swim animations. Instead, like they have a brain and like so there'll be like a row of sensors for like vision or limb position, and then there's like a bunch of sort of core brain functions, and then they finally pass up to like muscle outputs that constrict or retract joints, basically. So they really sort of move the way that we do. Like they move a limb through the water by contracting a joint, and the water sort of pushes back a little bit. And if you coordinate that really well, you can swim. And so sort of like the idea is you take a bunch of these creatures that are like have totally random bodies and random brains, and you just sort of like throw them into the water. And so most of them just kind of flail around, just sort of randomly. But a few of them manage to sort of move a little bit in the process. And you let those have more children than the others, and then you sort of repeat that for generations and generations and generations. And then eventually you evolve something that can swim. So that's sort of like the idea of ecosystem, is that it's kind of like a creative game. It's like maybe like a software toy style game, but you sort of build an ecosystem, and then like all these different life forms sort of adapt to the niches in it.
That's
and they'll be sort of
incredible.
unique to you. Thank you.
That's wonderful. I have folks in the chat asking if you're familiar with Spore and if this Spore is similar in terms of inspiration or similar in gameplay.
Yeah, I think I have a suspicion that maybe Spore was formed around the same like kind of idea. I think the way that Spore turned out maybe kind of turned people away from the genre, or like scared people away from like trying it out. But sort of the key thing I think in ecosystem is like Spore had a big focus on like tools and stuff, right? There was a big focus on like you make a creature and you kind of walk around, but they didn't really, and it would have been hard to do at the time, like in what was that, mid 2000s or so, to really simulate like evolution. On a desktop computer from that time period, whereas like now you sort of can, and that's sort of the core idea, is that like when the creatures swim, like their physiology is driven by function, in a sense, like they will look the best way that they can because that's what works for swimming, in a way.
I am so in awe of this game, and you mentioned one thing about how maybe like folks may be getting turned away from previous iterations of games like this. What are some of the ways that you feel like this is really accessible, or that players can really explore and play in this that maybe they haven't been able to before?
I think one of the key things is it's not really because it's sort of like because it's more like a software toy style game. You can't really lose. I mean, you can sometimes have things like extinctions happen, or like an environment can collapse, but it's not like a kind of game that's going to be like brutally difficult. It's something that you actually sort of play with, like you build something and you see sort of what happens in a way.
Yeah.
And so I think for that reason, it's pretty easy to approach. There's a lot of like sort of complicated science behind it, and there's a lot of in-game charts and graphs and stuff like that. But you can ignore all of that if you want to, and just throw in some creatures and see what they look like.
Just make pets. I think someone was saying in the chat, pets,
Yeah.
man. And someone also said, reminds me a bit of Creatures with its focus on genes and evolution.
Yeah, definitely.
Where can folks pick this up? Can they find you and keep track of what you and your team do, or your studio does?
Yeah, it's on Steam. It's in early access right now, and I'm hoping to go the full release maybe sometime in the spring or possibly this summer. So it's pretty close, and you can play it now. There's a demo and a early access version.
Wonderful. Again, love seeing all these demos being made available. Everyone go play the demo. Enjoy, share screenshots of what what evolves as you create these ecosystems. I think sharing that with other folks is pretty cool. And thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Awesome. And for the first half, we're almost at the halfway point. This title that we're playing next and that we're watching the trailer for next is called Mexico 1921. It blends history and storytelling in ways that I think are quite exciting, and I hope you enjoy this trailer.
We are not crazy. Madness is something we tell ourselves exists just to endure our days. Mexicans, beware. Beware of false prophets who'll try to sell us a deceitful future. A future with mediocre teachers, corrupt politicians, and people without dreams. But above all, be careful with Mexico. Because everything is about to change. A great oppressive system is forging. They will destroy what we value most, just for the whim of progress. Was the revolution just a dream? If only we could learn to take care of each other. They are the crazy ones. Let's hope we'll have the courage of being alone and the bravery to be together. Our future depends on it.
Alrighty, so that was Mexico 1921. I'm super happy to be joined here by apologies, Paula. How are you doing today, Paula?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you. How are you? Oh,
Great. Oh my gosh. Okay. This game looks absolutely incredible, and it deals with historical events. And so, my first question, because I think one of the taglines that I jotted down was that you said this game is about the awakening of a country, and I feel like that was incredibly powerful to read, and I'd love to just know more about that.
of course. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, it's that tagline exists because of reason.
Hmm.
And well, it's only because this particular moment in Mexican history is not one that we usually hear about in stories. We usually hear a lot about our pre-Hispanic past,
Mm.
um, but we're not really ever listening stories about like modern history of Mexico. And this story particularly talks about a moment in the post-revolution where everything seemed to be peaceful for the first time in the last couple of years. So it is really a moment where Mexico and Mexicans look at each other and look around and say, hey, this is Mexico. We can finally recognize each other, or take the time to look at each other and say, hey, this is who we are.
Hmm.
It is also the moment in history where all of our institutions were created. Our education ministry was created, our culture ministry was created, even the police was instituted during that time.
Wow.
So it really is like the birth of the nation. And it is also the birth of every idea that of what Mexico is in the United States, in Europe. It is the creation of that imagery. So we really thought it is important to look at this particular moment in history and relate to it.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. I'm curious because this is such a pivotal moment in Mexico's history. You want to be able to tell the story, well, because this is the first time a lot of people will be hearing it. What were some of the things that came more naturally and some of the things that were more challenging when you were trying to figure out how to make this into a game?
That's a great question. And what came more naturally, or actually what was like more obvious in the process, was that we were gonna need a professional
Mm.
historical investigation. So that's why we also really like to call this game a documentary video game or an interactive archive, because it is really strongly guided by historical investigation. So that is what came obviously more naturally. We were certain we had to consult experts in history. And what was more challenging was to decide what to keep in the game, what to exclude of the game, and how could we try to encompass all of this 100-year history into a game of, I don't know, roughly 6-7 hours. So that's been certainly the biggest challenge. It has also been to find this particular cute and, I don't know, like triggering moments of mystery in our history, and work ourselves into our fiction. No,
Right.
so it's been an interesting process, but it has also been really really rewarding to find that actually people out there want to listen to these stories. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah. Where can people find this game if they want to learn more, to play, and to use that as a jumping point, maybe to learn more about Mexico's
Of
history?
course. Yeah, of course. Our game is still being developed, but we're planning on joining the Steam Next Fest for February. So watch out for our demo
Awesome.
then. Right now, the game is available for wishlist on Steam. And for anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about national history, we're also documentaries. So we produce a lot of content into our YouTube channel and our social networks about these intriguing moments that surround the video game. So that's also available if anyone wants to check it out. You can follow us as Macula_MX on any social network. So that's what we're doing right now.
That's so incredible. I am very excited to check out the documentary work that you all do. Everyone, go wish this the game. Again, that's Mexico 1921. And thank you so much for stopping by and sharing about your work.
No, thank you so much, Kim. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. All right, so that was the first half of games. I noticed in the chat, y'all were saying every one of these games is so different. They're so unique. There is more where that came from too. So if you have not gone to IndieCade.com, you are missing out. There is a bevy of games listed as festival nominees. The festival awards are happening November 4th, which is super exciting, and you'll be able to see some of the ways these games are being recognized. And if you haven't checked out IndieCade.com, go there to see what conference sessions are going to be available throughout the event. Night games live are happening November 10th and 11th. Games like Secret Shuffle will be played there, so please do go check out the games live. Enjoy the atmosphere with many devs, many players, all coming together to celebrate indie games. And thank you so much, Miati, for dropping that link into the chat for folks to see. Again, if you are just joining the broadcast, today's show is a show and tell. So we are going through 15 games, rapid fire. Each of them have about 7 minutes to tell us what the game's about. We get to watch the trailer and enjoy learning more about the huge variety that IndieCade has curated. I've been amazed at just everything that we've seen so far. If you're in the chat, let me know if you have a favorite title. It's honestly quite hard for me to pick because they're all so different and really take on just different things that I'm interested in. Mexico 1921 with its historical take, Slay the Princess with this unique player choice element, Ecosystem with all of this experimentation and sandboxing within this evolutionary environment. We talked about Secret Shuffle, which brings people together in silly, awkward, wonderful dance moments, and Number from the Ghost, which is a just mind-blowing journey through sound and visual design and just artistry, putting you in immersive music videos that you get to explore in real time as the music plays around you. Exactly. It's so hard to pick one. These games are all, you can find out more if you go to IndieCade.com. All of the links are going to be there so you can wishlist the game. Many of them have free demos available, so go and try those free demos. And for the ones that are available to purchase or pick up now, those links are all there. So IndieCade.com is the place that you want to go for that. I'm super excited to also announce and share that if you're wanting to see more of these games in action, we have one more broadcast later today starting at 3:30. I will be deep diving into two titles. One of them will be a number from The Ghost. So we are actually going to take some time Friday afternoon to explore these music videos, enjoy them together, walk through them together. But we'll also be playing a game called Mother Player, which is coming up in the second half of the broadcast. So if you're interested in seeing more of both of those games, you can tune in at 3:30 at twitch.tv/Kimchika, and that will be, we'll do basically 45-minute features for both of those games. I see in the chat folks say, love Secret Shuffle, Farewell North, already played a number from The Ghost, great curating IndieCade, and I totally agree. So what I'd like to encourage you all to do is, it's been an hour. It's time to take a moment, stand up, stretch. If you've been watching us this whole time, thank you so much. Maybe share the link in social media. Let people know that we're doing another round of curating games right here at twitch.tv/IndieCade. You can also visit the Steam event page. This broadcast will be looping, so if you have friends who are like, I missed the first bit, I wish I could see what happened, you can tell them, go to Steam. You can see the whole event looping there on the page, as well as have easy access to wish listing all of the games. It's just a huge full weekend of events, full couple of weekends really of events. And finally, for those who have not, you've been here, maybe you know what IndieCade sort of is in terms of events. Just know this is an organization of dedicated folks who just love indie games, believe in their impact on the industry, and believe that not only the industry is impacted by indie games, but everyone who plays games is impacted by them, and that we have to spread the word. So the goal of IndieCade is to showcase game developers and showcase the games that they make. So if you are interested, you can also, when you visit the page, see about joining as a member. You can also see if you would like to support them as a sponsor. That's also a great place to check out. So with that, we've had our break. Actually, if you haven't had some water, time to hydrate. It's good for me too. And what we're going to do is ease our way into the next set of games. Now, again, we are going through 15 games in the show and tell. We are basically taking a look at their trailers, talking with the devs, getting the elevator pitch for each of these games, why you may be interested in these games, and sending you off on your way to enjoy them. So the next game that we're going to start with is the one that I was actually just talking about. It's called Mother Player. Let's take a look at the trailer, and then we will be talking with the developer, Angela, in just a minute. So enjoy. All right, so we have a quick switcheroo. Mother Player is coming up in just a second. It's a live show. We've got fun surprises all the time. We have a game that's popping in just to tell us a little bit more about themselves. The game is called Chu Mo, and this is going to be an electrifying game to talk about because in this title, players are invited to take on the role of up and coming exorcists. And so I have the team here. I'm going to put them on in just a second. Hello, how are you all doing? It's good to have you. Thank you for joining. If you wanted to introduce yourselves really quickly and a little bit about the game, I would love that.
Hi. So we are representing the team that work on the True More experience. My name is Terry.
And hello, I'm Demi. Both me and Terry are the game designer from the team.
And I'm Isa. I'm one of the concept designer and animator for Trumo. And what we're about to showcase is just a part of the experience. It's treated as a vertical slice. The full experience will be showcased at the IndieCade game night. So check it out if you're interested.
Yeah. Could you explain how is this game played? It's such an interesting concept, and specifically with the theme of East Asian exorcism. What can players expect from this?
Yes, I'm going to give you guys a brief information of the game. So Chumo is setting a Chinese exorcism school, and this game requires 3 players. 3 players will play as the freshman students and need to take entrance exams. And during this time exam, the whole rooms will be cursed by demons, and those curses will affect the room's visuals, sound, and also processing physical objects. But no worries, since this is the exorcism schools, we're going to teach you guys how to use the magical tools to deal with the curse and demons. And we're going to show you guys those magical tools one by one.
Awesome.
I cannot even show the magical tools right
now. Okay, so the first magical tool is the drum stations. Players need to play the correct drum beats to match the rhythms and cast magics. I will give you guys examples. So here, blue, 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 red. And yes, it's fun and simple. After you finish the drum sequence, the drums will help you to weaken the demon's curse. And then it's the next stations.
And let me introduce you the talisman station. So in order to weaken the demon, you need to cast the correct talisman spell under the right circumstances. And by selecting one of the elements, I will be able to channel my energy into that element, and a unique pattern will show up to guide me on what to do. So we can then begin on drawing the talisman.
Oh, cool.
And we can then cast it to expel the demon, to weaken him.
And the last station is the relic station. There are all these relics among these 2 shelves around here. And after the players identify the curse, they have to press down the relics in the designated order to enchant them and use that to weaken the demon, just like this. And this is how students can fight back demons in True War.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. I love that we all got a live demonstration of the game, Exactly Fun Shop. We got a live demonstration to see the game in action. Where can folks play this? Where can folks experience it and support you as a team?
I think we'll be showcasing the game during both game nights for IndieCade.
Yes, yeah. The game nights will be at the evening of November 10th and 11th.
Awesome. So, folks, this is a good chance to go to game night, good excuse to go to the game night, play this game, support the team. Thank you all so much for coming in and for showing us live what it's like to exorcise some demons in Chumo.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so We have, so now we're going back. That was our surprise live demo of Chumo. Again, if you are going to the event on the November 10th and 11th, the night games, you will be able to play that and experience it live. I wish I could go. That looks so much fun. So we had watched the trailer for Mother Player. We're gonna put it on just one more time, just so you can be reminded of what this game looks like. And in 1 second, we are going to be talking to Angela. So again, here is Mother Player. All right, really quick switcheroo. Again, this is a live broadcast, so everything is coming to you just live and with all of the fun that comes with it. Mother Player is going to come up a little bit later. We are actually going to kick off with some Roman Sands, which is a very different kind of game. So I'm excited for you to check out this trailer and let me know what you think in the chat of this one.
Wake up. I was dreaming. We were sitting out on the balcony in the sun like we used to, legs dangling off the edge. Cars going by on the street. Our upstairs neighbor must have had a window open. I could hear her crying. Someone's dog, howling through lungs filled with plastic. But we both know where this leads.
Whew, all right. So that is an intense trailer. I'm very excited. We have the wonderful Jessica here from Roman Sands ready to share with us about this timeless luxury retreat, the sun swallowing the world. Could you summarize the game for us just in your elevator pitch?
Okay, so first of all, thanks for having me. So effectively, it's two games in one. One game is a sort of adventure puzzle visual novel game, and the other one is a hard simulator. One, you're stuck in a luxury resort with no means of escape and nothing to do except serve the endless whims of the elderly residents. And the other one, you're trapped in a zoological research facility after the end of the world. And both of these, you're facing an impending, inescapable doom. And it's about meeting this other character, Kara, and finding a bit of human warmth against a bleak backdrop.
Mm-hmm. What really strikes me is the visuals of the game don't immediately strike me, at least, as this really sort of bleak atmosphere. You have these sort of pastel-y tones, so the blues and the purples. I'm really curious how you came around the visual design of this game?
Well, that underpins what we're trying to do with the game writ large. So our previous game, Paratopic, was very bleak, very moody,
right,
very atmospheric. And we wanted to turn that on its head, create something that was quite confrontational.
Right.
But wields very poppy, appealing aesthetics and tries to overwhelm you with them. Spent much of the past 10 years getting really into sort of hyperpop music, and really wanted to bring that kind of sensibility into video games as a little experiment.
Yeah, I love a good contrast and a good juxtaposition, so that's really exciting for me to hear personally. I'm curious, what do you hope players get out of this when they play? Do you hope that they come away feeling a bit bleak or something else?
The ultimate goal is for this to be really cathartic. Like, we build up the bleakness, we drag a lot of the mechanics out, and then we give you a sense of relief. So hopefully this will really stir you and sort of shake you out of your funk, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So I saw in the trailer it says it's coming in 2024. Where can folks stay in touch? Perhaps if there is a demo that becomes available. How can people stay engaged with y'all?
Yes, demo's live on Steam at the moment. I encourage everybody to go and check it out. Keep in touch with us by wishlisting the game and hit up our publisher, the Serenity Forge website. That will have links for keeping in touch with us and tracking development.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Again, y'all, Roman Sans RE build. You can check it out. Go play the demo. It's available on Steam. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So that was Roman Sans. Again, I love a good contrast, and that looks really fun to play. I will be downloading that demo as soon as this broadcast is over. Now, we are going into something very different mood. It's called Gerda, A Flame in Winter. So let's watch the trailer, enjoy what they have in store for us, and we'll talk to the dev in just a second.
Peggy 16.
In an instant, the peaceful life that Anders and I had strived to protect was gone. I need to know why Anders was arrested. My mind was racing after the choices I'd made, turning over every decision and wondering at its effects. I could feel myself changing, doing things I'd never imagined, and consorting with people I would normally avoid. To free Anders, I need to help either the Resistance or the Nazis. Would someone always have to get hurt along the way? The darkness around me feels suffocating. But I'll finally get to see Anders again.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm super excited to talk about Gerda, A Flame in Winter. We have with us Demir, who is going to tell us a little bit more about the game. How are you doing today, Demir?
I'm doing great, thanks. So I'm one of the writers on the game. And yeah, it was, you've seen the trailer now, which is good. I didn't know we had that. But,
Fun surprise.
yeah, it takes a little bit of pressure off of me. But yeah, it's, Gerda is sort of an RPG light where you play as Gerda Larson. She's a nurse at the tail end of World War II, sort of trying to keep her head down in Nazi-occupied Denmark. And her sort of quiet life gets blown up a little bit when her husband gets arrested by the Gestapo, and now as a player you have to try and sort of navigate a bunch of small town intrigue, local politics, different factions within the town to try and save your husband. And it's somewhere between like a stats driven RPG and a kind of more classic adventure game. So it's this kind of thing where you're both just kind of making a lot of choices, but you're also kind of picking attributes to sort of craft the version of Gerda that you want to see through the game. And the choices that you make and the stats that you kind of emphasize are going to affect how other characters interact with you, how they see you, some of the
Right.
dilemmas you're going to face. And this is a game that where we really wanted to emphasize kind of the difficulty of being a civilian in wartime. It's based on actually our director's grandmother. She was in the
Oh,
resistance in the
wow.
Second World War. Yeah, and so some of the inspiration is drawn quite directly from her experiences. It is a work of fiction. The game is fictional, but it owes a huge debt to our historical sources. And yeah, it was really a game where we wanted the choices to matter, not just kind of on the macroscopic level at like the conclusion, but also along the way, and to make sure that every kind of dilemma and crisis that Gerda faces along the way is meaningful and impactful and hopefully compelling for the player. And we're
Right.
we're pretty proud of the game. We hope people like it. Yeah, we hope you
Yeah.
check it out.
I think I really like, and we talked about this a little bit earlier too with another title, but this focus on sort of this ordinary citizen as this sort of unexpected protagonist and unexpected hero in the game. I think that's a really interesting take on stories, especially because history is most often experienced by more of these ordinary folks. I'm curious because the time setting is also sort of in this unexpected time where normally games I feel like we see are typically in the thick of World War II. They focus on maybe the major events that happen, less so the aftermath. And I'm curious, what were some of your thoughts on taking this time period and going after what some of the biggest events we consider were?
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty interesting time period because at this point in the war, it's early 1945. Kind of everybody is aware that Germany's probably going to lose the conflict. So the occupation becomes this very kind of strange animal where
Mhm.
a lot of people are kind of probably just hoping to wait it out, just kind of
Right.
get through the end, just kind of keep your head down. And that's definitely where like Gerda starts the game, right? Initially, she just wants to see the conflict out and get on with her sort of quiet, pleasant life. And Denmark being sort of, I think they called it like the cream front of the war because it was,
Mm.
so kind of docile compared to some of the other regions, but it was still an occupied country, right? And
Right.
so by setting it in this position, there's this, it's not quite the like one day away from retirement trope of a detective game, but it's this thing where things are very close to coming to a resolution, and if it engenders a lot of dilemmas where it's like if you could just sort of mitigate the damage for a little bit longer, maybe you'll get out okay. And I think that was
Mm.
something we really wanted to kind of explore and play with kind of some of the crises that like Gerda
Yeah.
faces.
What I guess when you worked with, because the story is drawing from lived experiences, I guess what was it like to work with, was it your grandmother or your team member's grandmother?
It was our game director's
Your
grandmother.
game
Oh yeah.
directors, yeah. What was it like to work with her to sort of get these stories and then translate them to game?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, so she had passed away before the production,
Mm,
but
okay.
we did a series of interviews with Hans, who's our director, his mother, who kind of relayed
Mm.
a lot of this stuff to us. So we did a couple of filmed interviews with her, and we kind of used those to pull details and ultimately like the plot structure of Gerda is a fiction, right?
Right.
It's exactly what happens here is quite a bit different than what happened to Hans's grandmother, but it kind of comes through in a lot of the specific details and in the shape of the moral dilemmas that she has to face. Particularly at
Mm.
the end of the game, there's a choice that Gerda has to make that I don't want to spoil for people, but it's very very similar to something that she had to go through at the tail end of the war, and it is this sort of conflict of justice versus revenge versus
Mm.
peace, and like which thing do you want to emphasize, and what regrets do you live with based on your choices.
Ooh.
And yeah, it was just
Yeah,
like pretty
sounds
nice.
impactful. No, that's it really sounds impactful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for folks who would like to play this game and to stay in touch with your team and what you're working on, it looked like it was available on quite a variety of places. Where can they find it?
Oh yeah, so it's on Steam. It's also available on Switch, and we actually released a DLC earlier this year that follows one of the other characters as well. So yeah, either of those places are the go-tos, I would say.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing this really powerful story. Very excited to dive into it. Again, this is Gerda, A Flame in the Winter, and thank you so much for joining and talking about it.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Peggy 16.
All right, so we have gone from Roman Sand's wild ride of juxtapositions. We've looked at Gerda, which is a much more contemplative, reflective choice, the elements of choice in that game where you are experiencing 1945 in Denmark. And next up is a game called Puckish that has a little bit to do with social dynamics. So let's take a look at that.
Hello, IndieCade. I cordially invite you to the world of Puckish. In Puckish, all the balls are people. They're full of non-player characters. Hello, that's the voice of one of them now. They have complex social relationships and ideas, and the game is inspired by 19th century British literature and its emotional tension and confusion and awkwardness. Yes. We did good with that hole right now.
Excuse me.
These here are two butlers, and this is the tutorial level where you're trying to navigate a garden.
Good day.
Good day.
Pardon me.
Every ball has a unique voice and complex social rules that you need to keep track of. If you get something wrong, you get a social gaffe, which is like a scratch.
Excuse me.
It's the same concept, but they're people. So it's different. Now we enter the mansion, and you're the stranger. Come back after a long time away. Now just watch.
Excuse me.
Oh, you've totally disrupted the dinner party.
Who's walking here?
That's Puck. Now at IndieCade Night Games, we will be showing Puckish in mixed reality. Here's me from weeks ago. This is a 5 mixed reality table where you can wear special glasses that allow you to see the balls in 3D space. I could get bigger, I swear. I use a controller to take a shot like you're hitting a pool cue, and we use this fancy boy tool, which you can see in my left hand there, to control the shot, just like it's a real pool game, but the balls are people. Puckish is coming for us all.
All right, so that is Puckish, everyone. We have Dustin here ready to talk to us about how billiards and social dynamics are one and the same. How are you doing today, first of all?
I am great, honestly. We actually did a big play test here tonight. Tonight happened yesterday, and we're coming to night games, and so there's lots of moving pieces here that we need to physically test. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, first of all, I feel like I'm sitting with a celebrity because I'm like, I just saw you on the screen. It's so cool you're here.
We can simulate getting that close again, but no one wants to do that.
Could you just describe, because the sources of inspiration that you have for this are quite varied, and honestly, they were quite fun for me to read. Could you dive into that?
Yeah. That trailer's a little bit old, by the way. We're doing something like mysterious and new at Night Games. So the gist is, as many people did during 2020, the lockdown, I did lots of online gaming. The best experience I had was playing Walkabout Mini Golf with several people, which is like a VR golfing game. And I noticed the fun part was like talking with a bunch of people about where someone's stupid ball was and how are they going to get it somewhere else. And sort of this like theory crafting of like, no, we're going to do this shot and that shot. And then of course it would get like 80% right and the 20% wrong. And that was really fun. So I really also independently like sort of literature or TV shows that involve ensemble casts that move in complex ways, like And Then There Were None, Pride and Prejudice. other things. And I was like, oh, I would love to like look at a dollhouse with a bunch of people and figure out how these characters are going to interact. And what if to make the characters move, you had to like take like these like trick shots. And this idea bothered me for two and a half years. So finally, I like forced myself to sit down and make a first draft of this in June, in a week. And that's one thread. Independently, I had bought this Tilt 5 AR unit and didn't really know what to do with it. And so the first draft of the game was actually entirely in 2D, and you can go play that on itch.io anytime. It's a lot older though.
Right.
And then I had this like this Tilt 5 mixed reality unit where you wear a headset and you take shots this way. And so now the way you take shots in the game is you do kind of this thing with this like fancy boy billiards tool.
That's so cool.
So just regarding some of the other inspiration, you're kind of manifesting these social relationships by sort of manipulating them from the outside. And it kind of goes right a lot of the time and it goes wrong a lot of the other time. And that's supposed to be fun. And so it's called Puckish, inspired by Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream, where Puck was supposed to do some stuff, got it quite wrong, but then the outcomes were like entertaining. And that's sort of the like summary of the motivation. And then recently the version we'll be showing at IndieCade is inspired by Regency era social tension and rules of etiquette. And what we have is we have a 140-year-old book of etiquette found by a narrative designer I'm working with named Marissa Kors and supported by another narrative designer who's Jeffrey Golden. And we have taken rules of etiquette from that book, and you have to use the book during the game, sort of like in a keep talking and nobody explodes way, to figure out what rules you need to avoid breaking.
Wow.
And one final thing I want to say: if you saw the like episode of Our Flag Means Death, where they go to the fancy party on a boat, and there's one person who like knows what you're supposed to do, and there's another person who like is the fish out of water but has like a better time because they don't care. This entire thing is really explicitly inspired by that.
You have absolutely sold me on this. I really wish that I could make it to night games just so I could see all of this happen in real time and play it. I guess, is there any way to stay in touch with you or figure out like ways to play the game, or like this iteration specifically with like the etiquette element outside of attending night games?
That's a great question. We were rushing to finish it for that, so I don't have the great flow for that yet. We're prioritizing this platform before it's sort of easy to download.
Right.
If you go to escape-character.com, there's a mailing list you can sign up for.
Perfect.
Where more announcements will definitively show up. I will very likely announce it on the Puckish itch page when there's an update out. I would say Twitter, but who knows? Who knows what will happen there?
Yeah, newsletter
but that's the
is
most
best.
likely. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, everyone go sign up for that newsletter. Visit the itch page. Play the older original version of the game so you can say, I played the original. I totally was there when, and I hope you have a great time at night games and that everyone has a fun time playing some etiquette, playing into etiquette with you all. Thank you very much, Dustin. Awesome. Bye. Oh, so cool. I love Our Flag Means Death, and so that reference of the show, perfect, so good. I cannot wait to hear and see what it's like. Again, if you haven't gone to IndieCade.com, look up night games. If you're in the area, go play, go enjoy these games. Do it because I can't. I want to live vicariously through you all. We are now going to hop into talking about Mother Player. Let me again remind you what Mother Player looks like by showing off the trailer, and then we're going to be talking with a dev in just a second. Oh my goodness, this looks so beautiful and sentimental. I'm really excited that we have Angela here with us today. Angela, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope you can see me right now.
Yes, you look great. I can see you on the camera crystal clear. I love your glasses so much. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right in true fashion connected to my project. My daughter is homesick today, which has thrown like a wrench into everything, but I'm here. She's napping. We're fine.
Awesome. Good. Yeah. You know what? And that's okay. It's like we have video games, we have a show. It's all flowing beautifully. I'm really excited to talk with you, and your game will be featured at 3:30 today. We'll be going more in depth, but your topic is intensely personal. It's about becoming a mother, especially during the 2020, start of the pandemic time period and into the pandemic. What was it like to draw from such a personal story?
Yeah, it's not how I normally work. So I've been in IndieCade before. The game was my last project there, and that's a very intense game about pickup artist communities and professional pickup artists using their coercive and horrible tactics to try to seduce you. It's about like a huge community. It's about systemic coercive misogyny, all this stuff. So I'm usually looking at like big systems, holding people accountable, all that
Right.
kind of thing. So yeah, I really made it. The pandemic hit. I found out the same day that we were going into lockdown that I was pregnant, and it really forced me to rethink what my artistic practice was going to look like, and so the game really developed out of um, a way of making work that happened when my daughter was napping, and an urgency around telling stories about pregnancy and early childhood care that I had not really seen in most of the games, the many games that are important to me.
Yeah, I think when I was going through, especially like the start of the game, that was one thing that really struck me. I've also never experienced that, and it was just kind of weirdly profound. Like I was like, I feel like it shouldn't be this profound, but it kind of is to experience it in game form. I guess, were there elements that you felt like you needed to change, or did you feel like you were going to be 100% like raw with everything that you put in?
I think because in a lot of my work, my experiences are present, but I don't tell the audience that what they're experiencing is from my experience. So there's like a safe like distance or something that's sort of masked through the lens of like fiction.
Right.
So yeah, it was extremely there's stuff in there. I mean, you've played through there's stuff in there that um is not something that I would share with everyone, and now I am. So, but it felt like it felt like I wanted to break the taboos around what we talk about when we talk about pregnancy, and the things that people who have children like very often feel uncomfortable sharing about. And yeah, there continues to be no public discourse around them because we continue to feel shame around sharing them. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it all the way.
Yeah. Well, I appreciated playing it. I think folks should definitely go in and at least give it a try. Where can people find this game and other work that you've done?
So, Mother Player, it's going to be released in full this spring, coinciding with a solo exhibition I have of the work in New York City at a space called Public Works Administration. But to follow information about when that release will happen, there's motherplayer.com and also angelawashko.com, where you can join my mailing list and also see my other work.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that your daughter feels better and doesn't feel too sick and tired for too long. And have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.
See you later.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye.
Oh my goodness. And that's Mother Player again. As with all of the games, if you are looking for a list of what we've been covering, what has demos available, maybe what isn't out but you should wish list or get on the newsletters for, please do check IndieCade.com. Now, next up, we have Decarbonize, which is a really interesting take on a card game. Check it out. All right, everyone, we are back here with Andre to tell us a bit more about Decarbonize and why card games and climate survival and climate awareness can be combined. How are you doing today?
Yeah, well, I mean, my dog did a really nice print on our bed sheets after it was
No.
raining a whole day, so quite well. It's a work of art, you know.
It's
Even I heard. So.
the beauty of having pets that love to give gifts to you. I have a cat who does.
Unexpected ones, sure.
Yeah. Could you tell us a bit more about Decarbonize?
Right, so Decarbonize is a game that was, and I don't think is it's rude to say because it's an honor to be inspired by games like Stacklands or Cultist Simulator in a way that it tries to simulate something dynamic, complex like climate change
Mhm.
via cards and their interactions. So it's like basically a survival management resource sim game where you take over the world or take over bad wording, where you are in command of like steering four areas of the world and society, ecosystem preservation, energy generation, society, science advancements, and policy reforms or like people policy reforms, and you have to like balance them out and to avert the climate catastrophe and to avoid as many tipping points as possible, which we have directly consulted or directly are directly like tied with the research of intergovernmental panel for climate change and like because we also had a great experts climate experts on the team.
I love that you talk about how you've done the work in integrating climate experts, the science behind it. I feel like for some folks this could be a really intimidating subject. How does the blend of card game strategy allow this to become more accessible for people to start thinking about our climate?
Well, it's actually a twofold answer. Like one is that just by virtue of being this genre, and that's a kind of a conscious strategy to be this genre that is easily replayable, that like the game round or loop lasts like a few minutes.
Mm.
Okay, you if you want to win, it lasts a bit longer, but usually it's a few minutes. So it's like easily approachable. So it's also approachable by like your typical gaming communities, which we did not actually expect that much. While like for example releasing on Steam, which was the second, or like we first released on mobile and then on Steam, but we got so many players who were just like dissecting the gameplay and trying to min max it, which we didn't really expect too much. But it works as a gateway, I guess, it's kind of a genre designation. And that's the point of the game, really. The point of the game is the game is free. It was developed with our partners from People in Need, Czech NGO, and it was designed to be easy to take up. But throughout those interactions of those cards, which yeah, they are technically cards, but still, this couldn't work physically, you know. Throughout these interactions, we hope we tell people or like give people vocabulary of what even is possible in like this climate solution area. Each card like is referencing to something real, like
Mhm.
be it fracking, be it permaculture, be it mangrove planting, and like stuff that is
Yeah.
discussed. And it also like tries to, I don't know, create a bit. I mean, I don't want to sound too like boasty because it's a game after all, but to create a bit of a small model of like how interconnected things are.
I really appreciate that there is that level of detail in the interconnectivity. That this is a solutions driven game rather than perhaps simply saying that we're we have a lot of post apocalyptic and apocalyptic games. It's nice to see that this is a bit more hopeful, and again solutions driven in its goals. Where can
Yeah,
folks? Oh, go ahead.
can I just like one brief thing
Yeah.
is yeah, one of the things that like that is really related to this like solutionism, I guess. We have like 6 different endings because at the same time the game doesn't prescribe you what is like right. And some of them are a bit more fantastic, and we actually tell you they are not good, like colonizing a different planet with a bunch of rich people. That is actually an option in the game, which we do frame very negatively. But what is for each of those wins, victory conditions, is that you have to aggressively start to curb carbon emissions, or otherwise you lose. That is like that is a given kind of a rule embedded into the game. Like the game doesn't let you win unless you start decarbonizing really fast via various methods, right? But still, that is kind of what the solutionism that is directly like I don't know related to what again IPCC and climate experts really are calling for.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful, and I really appreciate you've made a game like this to help bring that message, and that you said it's free, so folks can pick it up right now. Where can they find it?
Oh, well, this is gonna sound so much as a marketing, but yeah, it's on Apple, on iOS, macOS, on iPad OS. It's on Android. It's on itch.io if you want it like off Steam. It's also on Steam. So those are all the platforms it's available on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk about it today, and I hope folks go and play Decarbonize.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on. It's great to be part of IndieCade, really.
Wonderful. Have a great rest of IndieCade. All right, so that was Decarbonize again. Really wonderful game focused in on the climate crisis and what we can do about it. Now, next up is a game called Hollyhock. I don't believe we have a trailer for it, so we are just going to jump right in to talking with the team at Hollyhock. And I see they are ready in the chat, so let's jump in. Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing?
Hi. We're good. We're very excited to be here.
Yay! I'm really excited to chat with you all. If you wanted to go around, introduce each other or introduce yourselves, and talk a little bit about what Hollyhock is for folks watching.
Yeah, I'm Milo. I'm one of the main designers on the game. I'm Alana, also a designer and writer, and I did most of the art. I'm Danny. I did also designer, and I'm also the lead page layout designer for it. And we have one person that's not here, so Kat, if you're watching, we love you.
Hey, hi, Kat. So what is Hollyhock?
Yeah, so Hollyhock is a GM-less tabletop role-playing game about a contest of trickery in the Fey realms. So all of the players will collectively take on characters, these strange Fey creatures in a high society world, trying to compete with each other through trickery and social intrigue and magic to achieve whatever their ultimate goal might be. And all of the players work together to tell the story while working towards their own goals.
I love this idea of trickery and mischief being central to the gameplay here. It's something I think we maybe experience a lot in our lived experiences, but we don't necessarily see in games a whole lot. Why were you so attracted to this idea of trickery as part of the mechanic?
We wanted to have a game that was really like playful and fun, and we also wanted to bring in things that we enjoy when we're playing games on our own, like drama, intrigue. So we thought, what would be a good atmosphere and setting for those elements? And in folklore, that is kind of the Fae's whole deal. So we're like, that might be a great two things to bring together into a tabletop game format. Yeah, we had already kind of latched onto the idea of the Fae, and we were trying to think of a way that we could make it, really engaging and have the players get into it. But combat wouldn't really make sense,
Right.
in a game like this.
And so having this trigger where the players are sort of competing and doing a combat for kind of a social combat was something we were really interested
We
in.
like to jokingly say it's like a big prank war is the whole conceit of the game.
I love that. And I totally agree. I think there's an element of, especially for folks who may not be familiar with tabletop RPG or have never dove into it, maybe there's this preconception of, oh, there's always combat. You know, you have your stats that you buff, you fight a boss, and that's how you play. I guess what would you encourage folks to do if they were interested in playing this game, but maybe were uncertain if they wanted to try it or if it was for them?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that we try to do is make it like as simple as possible, because we know like one of the big things that's really hard for role-playing games, especially if you've only seen things like Dungeons and Dragons, is that there's like in games like that there's so many numbers and so many stats to keep track of, and we wanted to just cut that out as much as we possibly could. We limited ourselves to one piece of math. There's one piece of math in our game.
Yes.
And so we wanted to make it all about just like trying to make this experience of having fun, like joking around with your friends and you know, playful kind of making fun of each other. We wanted to gamify that and make that the core conceit, and everybody knows how to joke around with their friends.
Yeah. Which is not to say that there's not strategy involved in this game. Our central mechanic has to deal with playing a hand of cards and picking up and putting down cards by making moves within the game. And then at the end of the game, or at the end of a session of the game, based on the cards you have in your hand, it determines the outcome of how your goal went for that game. So we do have a little bit of strategy in there, but it is towards the purpose of being a fun, very like narrative game and not a really heavy combat, crunchy game.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if folks are interested in picking it up, playing with their friends, where can they pick up the rule set for this Hollyhock game?
Yeah, Hollyhock's not currently published, but we are in the process of getting it out. We have an itch.io account. It's itch.io/Nervous Playhouse Games. You can also follow us on our social medias. We have an Instagram and a Twitter. You search up Nervous Playhouse Games on Instagram and Twitter, you'll find those. We have a link tree, which is just linktr.ee/Nervous Playhouse, where all of that is collected in one place. Yeah, and we've also got a Discord server that we're trying to build up. That's where we do most of our first communication.
Awesome. So if folks are interested, hop into the Discord, go to the itch page, and stay in the loop. Again, thank you for coming here, talking about Hollyhock, and really looking forward to seeing when it gets published and when we can get into some mischief and pranks with our friends.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was, again, the team from Hollyhock. Next up, we have a game called Unknown Number. This title is pretty dang interesting. It's a first-person talker. What does that mean? Well, here's the trailer for you to see exactly what it's all about.
I am in this till the end. So do I open the voicemail?
Up already. We're stuck in the boat at the base of the rig. We need you to call 01595
01595 434 666.
Welcome to Sligoil Security Systems. Please say the passphrase.
Oil?
Which officer would you like to give an order to?
Officer Walters. Oh my god. I do solemnly pledge to sacrifice all that I am. I can't believe I just said that. Cross on one. I've got you here, Sligo. The crew must be staring straight at me. Oh my god, it changes every time! Ah! I really don't want to sing. Laura had a little lamb. What?
This is a transmission from the Metropolitan Police.
Do I want to get in with the police?
Let's talk about my money.
Yeah, which we stole. I can't tell